Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. In my previous video, we understood history behind emergence of anthropology as a science of human beings. And in today's video, we will try to understand its holistic approach while studying them. In this same video, I will also try to cover anthropology as a science of human beings in understanding diversity and variation in human society and culture, which also includes anthropological issues related to the study of diversity and variation, like ethnic conflict and racism. Before starting this video, I would request you all to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you like my videos. You can also share your valuable suggestions in the comment box below. Now let's start the video. As we know, man is the most wonderful creature in this world. It is the only species in the animal kingdom having two aspects, that is, biological and cultural. Man is the creator of his own culture. Anthropology is concerned with rounded study of man. It studies men at all level of culture. Unlike other disciplines like economics, political science, or botany, anthropology does not study only one aspect of human life. It covers all the dimension, that is biological, cultural, environmental, etc. So each and every matter related to human beings becomes the subject matter of anthropology. Anthropology being holistic science, as I said earlier, it covers all aspects of man. If we take up an example of culture study, some of its aspects like art, culture, marriage, kinship, family, health, economy, politics, and so on and forth, we see that they are combined into one whole. Whereas, on the other hand, these cultural aspects differ from one society to other. Meanwhile, anthropology not only deals with these various aspects of culture only, but also explores the variety from all its aspects. For example, if we consider kinship, we will notice that anthropologists not only have studied kinship as an aspect of human culture, but also have studied various kinship patterns in different societies in the world. Therefore, anthropological study explores around particular to general and also sometimes general to particular. So sometimes it is inductive logic and sometimes it is deductive logic. Anthropology as a subject keenly examines all aspects of human life from each and every dimension. In this lecture, we have noticed two terms, that is diversity and variety frequently. So now let's understand these terms. If we will see the dictionary meaning of these terms, we will get that diversity is a range of many people or things that are very different from each other. On the other hand, variety means several different sorts of the same thing. Thus, diversity is a range which is a broad category covering different people, and variety is relatively a smaller category defining differences within the same thing. But anthropologically, these two words are very important as it in a nutshell, defines the whole area of anthropological research. As it's already discussed, that anthropology is a holistic science and it studies all aspects of human beings. But anthropology not only studies such aspects but also examines these aspects from various dimensions, identify differences within it. Diversity and variation thus becomes core of anthropological study. Emergence of anthropology, about which we have already discussed in my previous video. If you haven't watched it out yet, please do. I will share its link in the description box below. So, as we know, emergence of anthropology began with a curiosity of man to explore differences among themselves. The European voyager, while exploring, identified different people with varied customs, and thus this developed the anthropological interest to know about diversity in human beings. Diversity was the initiation point for anthropological research. People actually wondered why members of these same species, that is, Homo sapiens, differ culturally. Biologically, if we see Homo sapiens is one species capable to interpret, but culturally, the same species defines certain rules which do not suit the biological definition of species. Human beings have different mating patterns according to their own culture. Different societies have different form of marriage. Thus, man has diverse patterns of mating and variety of marriage rituals. Thus, now we could conclude that anthropology basically deals with diversities and varieties. While describing anthropology as the study of humankind in pursuit of understanding diversity and variation, we often face some critical issues. These issues bring out some questions like, why do we need to study diversity and variation? Various conflicts among different communities are observed, the basis of which is these variations and diversity. Do we really need to make our differences distinct by studying them in great detail? To discuss these issues, we will take up two examples of racism and ethnic conflict. As we know that racial history has occupied an important place in anthropology. All human beings living today belong to the single species, Homo sapiens, which includes different groups or populations, each differing from other populations in the relative commonness of certain hereditary traits. Each of these populations constituting the species Homo sapiens may be regarded as a race. The skeletal material of different period gathered from diverse parts of the world shows that hybridization among different human population has been taking place since long past. Race admixture is an ongoing process, and as a result, a pure race does not remain. Hybridization, on the other hand, is responsible, if partially, for race formation, and on the other, it is also involved in the extinction or assimilation of racial groups. Therefore, we can say that there was never a pure race of men, and at present too, there is no pure race. Scientists have accepted the fact that each of the various races differ from the others in relative frequency of certain heritable traits. They are interested in the study of nature and extent of such variations and similarities among the various racial groups. They try to account for this inequality of human races. This type of scientific and objective type of study of different aspects of race has nothing to do with the issues of racism. Racists look at races from a different angle. Racism believes that certain races are underdeveloped and, as such, are inferior to the others. Anthropologists point out that racism involves the assertion that inequality is absolute and unconditional. That is, that a race is inherent and by its very nature superior or inferior to others quite independently of physical conditions, of its habit, and of social factors. During the Second World War, racism led to the death of many innocent people in Germany. Likewise, in America, it also created many inhuman conditions. Black skinned people were considered to be an inferior to white skinned people in all aspects. Many people faced human discrimination. In this context, anthropologists argue that race and ethnicity are cultural constructs that have almost no correlates in real human physical attributes. Anthropologist contends that the biological basis of race is a colonial construct to represent the non-Western others as inferior. Ethnic conflict on such a notion of racism has become very common in today's world. Exploitation and discrimination for many long years made ethnic groups or races intolerable, and it resulted into conflicts. After the World War, a general consensus came out to secure human rights. The United Nations also took steps to finish racial discrimination, and UNESCO to pass a statement on the concept of races and scientific study of race, stating that race is biological and no race is superior to the other. Anthropological or other scientific research on race has created the field of ethnic and racial conflict. If we take up the example of the racial conflict in Rwanda between the Tutsi and the Hutus and Tutsi had almost these same physical characteristics with little anthropometric differences. These two groups shared the same geographical area, but it was the Belgian colonial power in the 1930s, on the basis of cattle ownership, physical measurements, and church records, issued identity cards to these groups, thus creating a racial distinction. These documents played a key role in the genocides of 1994. In today's video, we try to understand the issues related to the study of diversity and variation in context to racism and ethnic conflict during the Second World War. In my next video, we will try to understand diversity and variation in the Indian context. Till then, be happy, stay safe, and keep learning. Thank you.